Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Omoti. Now today's video will be making this beautiful style on the thumbnail. A princess dart bustier with an asymmetric peplum and asymmetric cape at the neckline. If this is what you are interested in watching, kindly stay tuned to the end. Please subscribe to my channel, like and share my videos for more videos like this, and please turn on your notification bell in case I drop any video. So let's dive into our today's video. This is an Ankara print of 4 years and a Duchess material of 1.5 inches. That's what I'll be working with. And now I'll be using a freehand method. I've ironed an interface on my lining to make our work easier and faster. So I've measured the shoulder line. The shoulder I'm working with is 16 inches plus half an inch of joining to the sleeve, which is 8.5. I came down by 8 inches for the chest line, 10.5 for the bust line, and the other bust is 14, while my half length is 18, but I deduct 1.5 from it. I'm using 16.5, and I added 0.75 for joining into the peplum. If you watch the style closely, you can see that there is a band. So I'm using 1.5 for that band. That's why I deduct that 1.5 from our waistline, which I use 16.5. Are you getting me? So at the shoulder, I measured out my 3 inches neckline, which is 3 inches for the width and 1 inches for the depth. And I came down by 1 inch at the shoulder line, came down by 1 inches, and I connected it to the 3 inches for the shoulder slope. So now my bust circumference is 36 divided by 4, which is 9 inches at the chest line. I measured my under bust also. My under bust is 31 divided by 4, give me 7.6. The same thing at the waist, also 7.6, and I connected all the lines together. So the next thing now to do is I look for the midpoint of the armhole, and I came inward by 0.5 at that midpoint, and I connected the 3 lines together. From the bust measurement to the 0.5 to the 1 inch shoulder slope. So the next thing now is to look from the nipple to nipple. I'm working with is 8 inches divided by 4 divided by 2 will give me 4. Since we are working with a freehand, I added half an inch to it, so that's 4.5, 4.5. So 4.5 from the bust to the waist, I connected with a straight line. Then the darts we are working with is 0.5 at the center and 2 inches at the side. 0.5 at the center and 2 inches at the side, and I connected with a straight line from the under bust to the waistline. So the next thing now is to connect from that bust point to the midpoint, of the armhole, from the bust point to the midpoint of the armhole with your curve ruler. So you see me doing this video. Can you see? Then your under bust, from the under bust to your bust point, you connect from the under bust to the bust point. Can you see? Can you see what I'm doing there? From the under bust to your bust point. So the next thing is to come down from that midpoint, come down by 2 inches. And this from the midpoint, come down by 2 inches. And from that 2 inches, connect it to the bust point. Can you see I'm placing my curve rule? Connect that 2 inches to the bust point. Can you see how curvy that part is looking? Then you come out by 2 inches and connect to your armhole. You come out by 2 inches and you connect. That means you are replacing that 2 inches that you took from the midpoint. That's what you are trying to do at that point. So replace all that you have taken. From that point, I measured the dart intake is 1 inches plus 2 inches of sewing allowance. At that point, I added my sewing allowance at the waist. I added my 2 inches, 2.5 darts, and I added my 2 inches sewing allowance. And you see, and I connected from the bust to the waist. It is straight through. So we are almost through with the front part. The next thing is to connect all these lines to the other side of this pattern. So I came up by 1 inch at that waist side and I connect it to the first leg on the side. And you see, I came up by 1 inch and I connected it to the first leg of the side. So I've transferred all what I did at this part to the other side because we are working on this neck part now. So from from the shoulder, I came down by 4.5, 4.5. I came down by 4.5. So from there, from the shoulder, I measured my 4.5 and I measured 3 inches because it's 3 inches we use as the width of the neck. And you see, 3 inches as the width of the neck. And I connected it with a straight line. So at one side, I will be giving it a curve. I will be connecting the 3 inches to the 4.5 inches. While the other side would be like that, I will just blend it with a curve from the 10 inches to the 4.5 inches. And you see what we have. So I'm marking out my 1/2 inch for my shoulder joining. I'll do the same thing at the other side. So our front is ready. The next thing is to start cutting. And you see, just watch closely. Can you see that I'm just cutting straight from one part, then the other side will be curved. Please, if you have watched this video to this very end, kindly give my video a thumbs up. Please like and share my video. If you have any comments, any question, drop it at the comment section. So I'm marking out my 1/2 inch of shoulder joining. So the next thing is to cut it out. After cutting, this is how it should look like. Can you see it has blended into the armhole? So please notch your underbust. This is very important to notch both sides of the underbust. So you see the front pattern is ready. Let's move to the back. Please ignore all these lines you are seeing here. Just follow what I'm doing. At that point, at that folded edge, I came inward by 1/2 inch. I came inward by 1/2 inch and I slanted to the upper part. I slanted it to the upper part. So the next thing is to mark my zipper allowance from that line, from that 1/2 inch line that I marked out now. So 1.5, I'm using 1.5 for my zipper allowance. So from that new line, I measured 1.5 all through to the shoulder part and I connected with a straight line. So from that zipper allowance, I'm taking my shoulder measurement of 8.5, 8 inches plus 1/2 inch, which is 8.5. Are you getting me? The chest line, the same thing, 8.5, and I connected it. So I came down to the bust point. Like 3 inches neck width and 1 inches for the depth, 3 inches by 1, and I connected it to the shoulder slope. Connected it to the shoulder slope. I look for the midpoint. The midpoint I connected it to the chest line. The bust circumference I'm working with is 36 divided by 4, which is 9 inches, and I connected it. So at the waistline, I'm using my nipple to nipple, which is 4 inches. 8 inches divided by 2, which is 4, plus half an inch, since we are using a freehand method. So I'm working with 4.5 from the bust point to the waistline, and I'm using half an inch on both sides for the dart, which I'm connecting it to the bust point also, from the waistline to the bust point. So at that side, if you can remember, I do the same thing at the front. From the waistline, I came up by 1 inch and I connected it to the first leg of the dart at the side. I did the same thing at the front also. So now I'm taking out my measurement. The bust is 36 divided by 4, which is 9, plus my 2 inches sewing allowance at the waist, 31 inches, which is 7.6, plus 1 inch is that, which is 8.6. Please start your measurement from your zipper allowance, please. And I added my 2 inches sewing allowance to it. So our back is ready. The next thing is to cut out. So I'm adding my shoulder joining of half an inch. The next thing is to cut out. Now we'll move to the cutting of the peplum. I've cut one side of the peplum, which is the Ankara part. I've cut one side, but let me explain what I did on that part. My waist circumference is 31. 31 divided by 2 will give me 15.5, plus 1 inch zipper allowance for one side will give me 16.5. Assuming it's a full circle, we'll be using 6.28. That's the formula. Now that we are working with one part of the peplum, so that will give us, we'll be dividing 16.28 divided by 2. 6.28, sorry, divided by 2 will give me 3.14. So now we'll be using that 3.14 to divide our waist circumference now. Since our waist is 31 divided by 2 will give me 15.5, plus 1 inch zipper allowance, which is 16.5. Now that 16.5 divided by 3.14 will give me 5.2. So 5.2 is my radius. Now to know the fabric to be folded, whatever you have as your radius, you add it with your desired length. Are you getting me? The desired length I'm using here is 9 inches, 8 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance, making it 9. So 9 plus 5.2 give me 14.2. Are you getting me? So what I folded for this Ankara part is 14.2. Are you getting what I'm saying now? I folded 14.2 inches. And I folded it in a triangle, in a square, because square, all the angles will be equal, which is 14.2 at one side, 14.2. So you should be having all the sides should be equal. Are you getting me? So as for mine, I'm working with 14.2. So my radius is 5.2. I've marked it out. Then I have my length of the peplum, which is 9 inches. Sewing allowance has been included. Are you getting me? So that's how I cut out the Ankara, the other side, which is the Ankara part. That's how I cut it out. So, and I added half an inch. If you can see, they join the Ankara to the other material they used. So that's the half an inch I'm including on the Ankara part. So we are through with that. Then the next thing is to cut the other part of the peplum, the other side of the peplum, which I'm using Duchess. I've ironed my interface on it already. So I'm making use of 23 inches for folding. Note the folding is, you are folding into two, not into four. The Ankara part 2 is into 2, not into 4. Please, this is very important. You are folding your fabric into 2, not into 4. Since it's an half circle we are cutting, not a full circle, you fold your fabric into 2. So, and the length I'm working with is 23 inches. 23 inches all through. So, how do I achieve that 23? I'm making use of 9 inches for the radius since there is a pleat on the other side. So I use 9 inches so that I can achieve that pleated part. 9 inches for the radius, 9 inches for the length, which is 18 inches, and I added extra 5 inches, which include my sewing allowance. Are you getting me? That's how I arrived at 23. So I've connected the 9 inches. Now I'm trying to connect from that edge, from the remaining 4 inches to the 9 inches. Just watch closely what I'm doing here. From the 9 inches of one side of the folded side to the, can you see, to the 23 inches, the 4 inches remaining. No, I use 9 inches for the radius. I use 9 inches for the length, which is 18 inches. So we have 5 inches left. So I connected from that 5 inches to the 9 inches at the side. We have achieved our asymmetric peplum by doing that. So the next thing now is to cut out. We are cutting both. We are cutting the both together now. After that, we'll cut one part. Can you see? I've cut the two sides now. So the next thing is to cut one side now. I'll open it up and cut one side, which is that 9 inches. Which is that 9 inches. I'm going to cut from there. So I've done that, and I've ironed interfacing on the lining and on the Duchess material. I've done that on the Ankara. So the peplum is ready also. Please, if you have watched this video to this very end, kindly subscribe, like and share my videos. Please drop questions for me at the comment section if you have any questions for me. So I've measured out my band of 2.5 inches in width and the length of my waist, and this is the wet pocket that's the other part of the Ankara. Can you see? I measured 5 inches all through, 5 inches all round. So if you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, like and share my videos.